What's up everyone? In this video I'm showing you how I use big shadows with a bit of reflective light to convey the volume of form. Benjamin Mara here, illustrator and cartoonist. Welcome to my channel where I reveal to you my process and give you insights about art projects I'm working on with the hope you'll learn some new techniques and be inspired when making your own art. Starting off this drawing with just the sketch on a separate layer and working on top of that with a new layer for the inks. Just going through with the nib pen that I prefer to use, the stiff nib pen from Frendon. I'm doing the outlines of all of the pustules on the character's face. This is a spell where the spellcaster creates these pustules on their face that erupt and spray some kind of magic liquid onto their weapon of choice, giving the weapon magical powers. It's pretty gross, kind of a horrific visual, but I was looking forward to working on this spell for a while because I could really see exactly how I wanted to do this face in my mind. I'm making the pustules that are actually close to bursting have a little bit more sheen on them, kind of like that cartoony box shape that for some reason communicates the idea of some kind of light source, square light source on it. I think everybody just understands that to be shiny. Drawing the liquid too, I don't really like drawing liquid, I'm not very good at it. It always looks a little bit too plasticky or something. I knew I wanted to have about a third or close to a half of the face in shadow and just have the pustules themselves reflecting light on the other side. There's the main light source that's coming in from the right, and then a secondary light source coming in from the left side of the canvas. That's not as powerful as the primary light source, so it's just going to pick up a few highlights within the shadows. I don't often figure out the shadow logic or hierarchy before I step into the image itself. I leave that up to my imagination or sort of how I'm feeling. I do have an idea in my mind, usually when I'm creating the outlines for a drawing, how the shadows are going to work. I have that kind of figured out already in my head. But with this drawing, I already knew exactly how I was going to do it. What I'm doing is carving out some of the pustules with the same nib pen, but just as an eraser. Now for the hair, just making the hair just kind of like this messy bird's nest hairstyle. Even though I know how the shadow is going to play on the side of the face, I still have to figure out how it's going to transition across the face into other areas. The light source on the right hand side I figure is coming in from just above the face a little bit. The bottom of the nose will be cast in shadow. I want the main shadow on the left-hand side to be pretty stark. I don't want to really worry too much about how it's transitioning. A few feathering notes will suffice to make it work. I'm not really liking how the highlights are, the reflective highlights that is, are working within the shadow, so I'm obliterating some and redrawing them with the pen nib just as an eraser function. When you carve out of a shadow, you can just get a sharper mark rather than if you try to draw the highlight and then fill in around it. Carving into the shadow just leaves you with a better result. Now the tongue is going to be a little bit in shadow from the mouth hanging over it. I I want the pustules on the right hand side of the face to sort of look like they're building up to be this exploding pustule. So there's almost like a step-by-step illustration of the different states that the pustules take just on the face of the character. So the pustules below the pustule exploding, the ones surrounding it are the ones that are about to burst. Now you can see ones in other states. Just adding a few more fine-tuned details here. This is pretty close to how I imagined it being in my mind. Dropped out the sketch just to take a quick look at how the face was looking without any interference from the sketch below. I'm not the best at reflective light, but I can get the idea across pretty well. So now I'm in the liquid trying to figure out how that's all going to work. Again, I'm not that great at drawing liquid. It usually ends up looking kind of, well, it doesn't look that fluid. It looks more like plastic sculpture to me, but I think the gooiness comes across. That's probably enough. I'm drawing the knife that the character has that they're casting the spell for. A lot of my drawing is just conveying different surfaces. So there's the surface of the face with the pustules, the surface of the pustules themselves. So flesh, bulging flesh, steel from the knife, then this liquid surface. And it's all about how light interacts with those various surfaces. And there's visual cues that I use to convey how light is striking these surfaces. A little reflective light here in the fist itself. Working on the reflections on the dagger. Adding a little bit more texture to the liquid. A few more droplets to really get that idea across that it's exploding onto the dagger. A few more details in the fist and on the knuckles. Now I'm going to add my screen tones just to accentuate some of the reflected areas, support the drawing, support the shadows. Really help define the light source, define the form. Adding a little bit of screen tones, not too many. Really want the bright areas of the face to read as well lit. Working on the hair a little bit more, giving it a little bit more volume. The drawing's pretty much done. I'm just cleaning things up a bit. A little bit of reflected light in the hair. I love to go into hair with the eraser and pull out strands, then go back in with black ink, quote unquote, and add more hair. Just really helps create the illusion of these strands of hair laying across one another. Here's the final drawing. In retrospect, I think I would have made the reflected light on the left-hand side of the face with the pustules, would have made them less. There's a little bit too many. Toward the center of the face, there should have been pustules, or the shadow should have been deeper, so the light wouldn't have reached that far across the face. But take that lesson and apply it to the next drawing.